There, in that small white house down there, in the basement bedroom, is where I roll out of bed each morning and try to make the financial parts of my life flow. And I know try is not the right word. As Yoda would say, there is do or do not. There is no try. Well, sometimes it's not that easy. I'm a graphic designer. I've been doing that for 30 years. Sometimes working for other people and sometimes freelancing. And I'm also 4 years into being part of a small company of 3 people. We make a phone game app, but we never really have got funding up till now, and I'm not making a wage. So it's a little bit tough. So if there's anybody that needs any artwork done, I'm your man. I'll leave a link to my portfolio below and contact information. So it feels like I'm following my heart, but I don't always experience what I think I would be experiencing following my heart. But I also know deep in my heart that releasing expectation to outcome is absolutely vital. So I get up every day and keep at it. But sometimes it feels like I'm a bat flying around in the dark, and I'm sending out my radar pings, but there just seemingly isn't anything there for them to bounce off of. So I can't get my bearings and I don't know which direction to go in. So that's not easy either. So from that small reality, we pan out to a slightly bigger one. I live in a town called Summerland, British Columbia. This mountain's called Giant's Head. Very, very beautiful place to live, as you can see. Right there's Okanagan Lake. And up around the corner there, about 45 minutes away, is one of the bigger centers in the interior British Columbia. It's called Kelowna. About 195,000 people. The interesting thing about Kelowna is that it vibrates roughly the same as Vegas. Whoops, I just lost my balance. Yeah, it vibrates roughly the same as Vegas. So geographic location and beauty has no bearing on a consciousness or unconsciousness of a populace living in a place. So the majority of people in that vibrational state are still fully immersed in their ego construct. So therefore the city contains some of the darker things that you see in bigger cities, but not necessarily some of the lighter things culturally and artistically and from person to person. So one of the hallmarks of ego is fronting. And you see plenty of fronting in Kelowna. Now, fronting is a tool used by ego to project, to portray an image of something that it deems to be powerful. And that, of course, is derived out of its understanding, which is that we are all separate and we are in competition. Now, fronting can manifest itself in a number of ways. Within the body, it can be, really big muscles. It could be certain kinds of tattoos, fake breasts, inner tube lips, Botox, that kind of thing. Outside the body, it can manifest as huge, posh, fancy, flashy houses, what I call monster trucks, supercars. The hills of Kelowna are lined in million-dollar houses. It's pretty amazing, really. Lots and lots of fancy cars there, too. Can manifest as loud motorcycles. It's interesting, one particular motorcycle company, their whole existence is built on creating objects that are used directly for fronting. And I have another thing used in fronting. These. Now these have a genuine practical purpose, but very often they're used for fronting. So people get behind them, they hide, they project something they think is tougher than who they really are, and of course they don't know who they really are yet. But tell me, what's more powerful? That's right. So I always chuckle when I see a rock star performing with their sunglasses on, because they're thereby disempowering, the very tool they have, which is most equipped to communicate and connect. So I want to say also right now that, on the other side, in the spirit form, we are all part of the same thing and equal. And here, we are all exploring different things so that all that is knows more about all that is. So every point of view, every path that anybody's living is equally valid. I just want to get that straight right now. So I have an interesting fact about fronting and ego. And I'm going to use Main Street, Kelowna. Oh, and by the way, if you're driving around in the Okanagan, that's the valley that Kelowna is located in, you could literally be driving 1,000 miles an hour and there's going to be some jackass on your tail and pushing you to go faster or flying by you in a dangerous way. Now, of course, like I just stated, every point of view, every journey is equally valid. So living the path of a jackass is equally valid. It's just a pain for those not living the path of a jackass. And also a pain for other jackasses, I would assume. Anyway, fronting, ego. Main Street, Kelowna. It's a straight stretch with a series of lights. So somebody in there in their monster truck. The light turns green. Just about fell down there doing that. In that moment, their ego is attempting to broadcast to as wide a radius as possible something that it deems as powerful. It's hoping to have an effect. But the funny part is, the person doing it is already at the next light. They hadn't stuck around or have no ability to see any effect they had whatsoever. So they have no direct, no direct experience with anything they've done. So the ego essentially is dying to be fed, trying to be fed, and it's not getting any food. So it just perpetuates this cycle of ego, which is nonsensical. And it's also painful. The vast majority of any pain that I or you or anybody else has ever felt is due to the fact that ego and subconscious have assigned beliefs which are out of alignment with our true self. So yes, that's one way to live, and it's a valid path. But wouldn't it be nicer if we could get beyond that? And it's possible. It's possible by raising your consciousness, your vibration. And in my opinion, to get started on that, it requires meditation in the form of learning how to stop thinking. Now, this is very difficult to do, especially for some people. You have to start very slowly, just a little bit at a time. But it's like going to the gym. The first time at the gym, it's going to hurt and you're going to be sore. And it's going to be very difficult. But it's something that can be learned and can be practiced, and you can get good at it. And once you're good at it, you're going to open up a sliver of a door. And on the other side of that is going to be your true self. And that's where you want to get to. And so eventually, as you push the door open a little more, and you're going to want to do this after you get a glimpse in there. Eventually, you get to a point of consciousness where you have an ego death. And while this experience itself is extremely difficult, the result after is beauty and In my opinion, only then can you experience true bliss, because ego won't be running the show anymore. So I'm going to make another video on ego death, but for now I'm going to sign off, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Thank you. Just going to pan around one more time.